first off, thank you guys for being here. Super excited to be on here with you guys today. And I feel like we have a lot of value we're going to be able to share with you. And I think a lot of you are going to get a lot of really good insight, tips, information from this training. And this is going to be essentially the most information we have ever shared about how we are using, training, and growing with virtual assistants internally in the agency, right? We all know about clients that use Hire Heroes and virtual assistants to kind of grow their business, but we're going to talk about how we're actually doing it ourselves and using it to grow the insurance agency. So I'm super excited about that. And yeah, I think you guys are in for a great training for the next hour or so. So without further ado with that, I'm going to pass the mic over to Glenn. Or am I
Actually, no, you're starting us off.
Never mind. I'm passing
keep
nothing.
It rolling. No,
I'm passing nothing. All right, I'm passing nothing. All right, guys. So let's kind of jump into this. Okay. So first off, what is a virtual assistant, right? A virtual assistant is, technically speaking, by definition, anybody who works remotely to help your business or individuals with a variety of different tasks, right? So a virtual assistant could be somebody in the United States. Doesn't necessarily have to be. Hang on. Do me a favor, guys. If you guys are popping in here, mute yourselves if you would, just so we avoid any background noise. We would appreciate that. A virtual assistant could potentially be somebody in the United States, but commonly it's referred to as somebody just in general that does virtual work. They're kind of a virtual employee for your business, okay? So maybe you don't have an office. Probably a lot of you might not. Some of you do, some of you do not. And you need help in your business, but you might not have a physical location, or maybe for some reason you've had difficulty hiring somebody locally in your local market. A virtual assistant and virtual staffing allows you to open that up to a more broad section of individuals and talent pool that you can have work with your business. So at the end, you're going to be getting an exclusive webinar bonus for those of you who actually stay on. Okay, so there's an incentive here for you to stay on until the end of the training. So we highly encourage that. All right, so why should you hire a virtual assistant? Okay, so there's three things that I really want to cover on this slide here. The first one is cost effective, right? And when you work with a virtual assistant program like what we have in terms of the infrastructure of it, it's incredibly cost effective, especially comparing it to hiring somebody stateside and hiring somebody in your own backyard, right? And oftentimes, you can get quality of work that is on par to anything you could find here, right? So it's high quality of work, but it's cost effective. So it reduces your overhead costs by eliminating the need for physical office space and full-time salaries, okay? The scalability. Virtual staffing is much easier to scale than US staffing. I mean, look at our organization as an example, right? Like, we usually have under 10 people on staff that's in the United States at any given time in the company. We have well over 200 virtual staff members for the organization as a whole, right? So we are really exhibit A in that department. And then, of course, you free up your time. It allows you to focus on things that are higher priority tasks while virtual assistants handle routine operations. This is really how you're going to grow. If you are in a position, and some of you guys might have seen my Facebook post from last night, if you were in the position that I was in 2018, where I was literally doing everything, some people say they look good in a certain hat or something like that. I look good in no hats because I was wearing 5 or 6 at the same time. They don't go together. They don't blend. But it's true. It's true. Like, I was in a situation where I felt like I was getting buried in my business and I wasn't growing. It stopped being fun for me. The growth stopped being fun for me. So I mentioned in the post, I had a couple people reach out to me in Messenger and they said, did you really almost sell your business? And I don't know what you classify as almost, but I did have a conversation with somebody about it. I don't think I've ever told anybody about that. I don't know if I even told Glenn about that.
Yeah, I honestly, like, I think we had talked about the struggles for sure. Like, I knew you had struggled as an individual because, before we even merged, that was something we talked about all the time. But yeah, I had no idea it was that you were that far down the road.
Yeah, this might have even been before we actually met too. Like it was worse,
Yeah.
in that situation, because that was truly me alone. I was truly
Right.
me alone, right? So, and how many of you guys can relate to what I'm about to say, right? How many of you guys can relate to you are sales, you are accounting, you are customer service, you are fill in the blank. You are fill in the blank, right? A lot of you can probably emphasize with that. And when you have that situation, if you don't have any clients, it's fine. And you really have to start that way. But when you actually have a business, the business stops growing. It gets to a point where it stops growing and you're working harder than ever just to keep the business in place that you built. So it frees up your time, allows you to spend the time on things that you need to spend time on to continue to grow. So what can a virtual assistant do for you? I think there's a multitude of things that a virtual assistant can do for you. What I wanted to start off on this part with was kind of cover a couple of things that we're using virtual assistants for internally in the agency right now. And then after that, I'm going to pass the mic over to Glenn, and he can talk about kind of what we're seeing with clients for Hire Heroes that are using virtual assistants. So for us internally, right, what are we using VAs in? There's a multitude of VAs that are working in the agency now on the day-to-day procedures. Just to kind of give you a couple of examples, the most common one you're going to hear about is, well, my VA is helping me with data entry. My VA is helping me with reporting. My VA is helping me check commissions. My VA is helping me organize my CRM, right? All of these things are great examples of what a VA can do for you. But people say, can my VA do anything customer service related though? Does it all have to be behind the scenes? Well, we have a team internally for customer service that's in the office, but we also have VAs that are helping in that department as well. They're answering phones, they're ordering ID cards, they're taking messages, they're scheduling appointments, and a multitude of other things in addition to that. And the VA is going to be capable of doing those things if you provide the resources to train them on how to do them in the structure, which we're going to get to later in the presentation. In addition to that, we have a VA that's handling a lot of our social media pages. I had a call with an agent this morning that said, I just added you on LinkedIn. I'm like, well, I never look at it, but my VA does, and they'll accept you probably today, so,
I love it.
That's a great example, right? And, people message all the time. They think they're speaking to me and they're not. They're speaking to a VA. And, they'll take messages. They'll schedule appointments. They'll sort through items where I'm getting spammed. I mean, how many of you are getting spammed on LinkedIn every day and you're actually wasting your time reading those messages? Yikes. In addition to that, right? Scheduling appointments. If any of you have gotten on a call with me lately, you probably have noticed I don't set that up. I don't even know what my schedule is. I didn't even know what I was doing today. I'm like, oh, I'm here. I have to do this training with Glenn. I don't even handle my own schedule anymore. I have a VA handle that. And the VA schedules my appointments for me and gets everything coordinated with the person that we're scheduling the appointments with, right? We have a VA right now that's being introduced into our contracting department. We have a great contracting department, but we have a VA coming in to kind of help with that. And they actually requested a couple of contracts to be sent out this morning. So there is no limit to what the virtual assistant can do to help you in your business. It all has to do with what you can imagine they can do, right?
Yes.
Like you have to kind of use your imagination with it. But those are some items that right now, virtual assistants are doing within CBIS.
Guys, if you have questions, I'm already seeing some of them come up in the chat. Please keep them coming. We're going to try to have some time at the end for Q&A. So I promise we aren't ignoring you. We will try to get to everyone's question. We have some virtual assistants on the call with us right now. We have several virtual assistants on the call with us right now. They're everywhere. They're everywhere. So I appreciate Christian, you getting us started there. I think that was a really great kind of introduction of, what is a virtual assistant, a little bit about what they can do. And I'm going to get now a little deeper into some of the specific tasks that they can handle on your behalf. And again, one of the big things that comes up, obviously, what can a virtual assistant do? But the limitation is usually the mindset. And I went through this myself personally. When I hired my first virtual assistant, I had a very narrow scope of what I thought they could do. Again, I was just looking for someone to help me with my phone calls. That was my key task that I really needed help with. You may have heard me tell this story a million times. I got into it at the summit during the virtual assistant Q&A panel we did, which was awesome. But my story of how I got involved with virtual assistants to begin with is I was so fed up as an agent spending about 20 hours a week on the phone. At the time I was doing all of my business face-to-face. So, calling my leads to set appointments, calling, potential policy lapses or pending policies, calling the carriers to see what's going on with a policy, scheduling a policy delivery. I mean, you name it. I'm spending easily 15 to 20 hours a week on the phone. And all I could think is, man, if I could spend that time selling instead of spending that time on the phone, how much more money could I actually make? And I wanted to test it. I immediately just started hiring people. As soon as I started to have that thought, I tried hiring all over the world. I tried here in the States. I tried hiring in Jamaica, Pakistan, India. And then ultimately I found my first virtual assistant in the Philippines, who still works with us today, by the way. Shout out to Michelle. She's incredible. And it's honestly, it's not just about the cost effectiveness, which Christian covered earlier already. It's about the effort and the dedication to the work. And if you've hired here stateside, you've probably seen similar issues, right? Where you might hire 10 people, but maybe only half of them are actually putting in the effort that you need. So that's key. But to focus on the task here in front of us, so phone support, this is a huge one. This is a huge one. This was a huge one for me personally. This is one of the big ones that we're doing right now inside the agency, whether this is for lead generation, appointment setting, our own personal calendars, like Christian mentioned. We don't really manage our own calendars anymore. We have virtual assistants who are doing that. If we need to change an appointment, if we have a call earlier, and this happens almost every day because their schedules are so crazy, if we have a call that runs over, I'm sending a message to someone and I'm saying, hey, can you please tell this person that I'm going to be stuck for another 30 minutes to an hour, and we're going to have to either push this to later today or maybe tomorrow or next week. So, and that might sound like a little thing, but what happens over time and what you'll find out, and your time is so valuable, it's so limited. So a little thing that might take you 5 to 10 or 15 minutes, as an individual, you might not think that's a big deal. I can do this myself. That'll take 5 minutes. But what happens if you start doing all these granular tasks in your day, in your week, in your month, you're spending hours and hours and hours that you don't need to spend doing that you could pay a $10 an hour employee to do for you, and they can do a great job. Scheduling an appointment or rescheduling an appointment is not something that you need a Harvard degree to do successfully. A virtual assistant could do that, an excellent job of doing that. So, and customer service, again, Medicare agents, I've been working with you guys for years. When you get to 150, 200, 300 clients, your inbound phone calls, you'll start to see those increase. I mean, it's kind of a linear increase in how much customer service that you have to handle as you start to build your book of business. And I can't tell you how many Medicare agents I've spoken with where they're at an incredible amount of clients, 500, 600, 700, and they're doing it all themselves. They're doing everything themselves. Someone said it. I'm sure there's several of you. I'm sure there are, because I keep finding you. I think you're unicorns, but then I keep talking to more and more of you. And again, it goes back to the same scenario that me personally as an agent, right? All of a sudden I'm spending 15 to 20 hours a week on the phone, and retaining that client's important. That has to happen, right? The customer service has to happen, but at the same time, it doesn't have to be you. And that's a logical fallacy that a lot of you fall into as well. I've gotten into some Facebook comment section fights over the past couple of years where I've seen some agents who are like, it's got to be me. It's got to be me. My clients want me. And it's like, no, you know what? That's not true at all. Like, if you call Humana, are you expecting to get the CEO on the phone? When you call a carrier, like that's not how it works. Like, it's just not true. And shout out to Lisa Asmussen. Again, if you guys were at the summit, you may have seen her on our Hire Heroes Q&A panel. She did an incredible job of introducing her virtual assistant to her clients and essentially teaching her clients that, hey, I'm still here. You can still work with me, but this will be kind of your point of contact if you call in, if I'm unavailable. And I think sometimes it's that simple. Sometimes it's as easy as just a small introduction, and then your entire book of business can be like, okay, this person works with Christian. This person works with Glenn. I know that I can work with Glenn or Christian through this person. And now you just freed up 15, 20 hours a week. So this is one of the big ones. So phone support, email management, another big one. Again, Christian and I can't speak for his inbox necessarily, but I know I get an avalanche of emails every day, and it's very easy for me to miss an email. And sometimes an email is incredibly important. It can be very time sensitive. So having an extra set of eyeballs either in your inbox, or maybe you have a company email. So maybe you have your own personal email, and then you have a company email. I'll give you an example. So at Lead Heroes, there's our primary email address, leads@leadheroes.com. I'm in there, but we also have probably like 5 other people who are in that email address. Again, virtual assistants who are in that email address. So if something comes through, whether it's someone wanting to place a new order, or there's an issue with an existing order, or someone wants to schedule an appointment just to, ask questions, etc., I don't have to be the one constantly scanning that email, making sure I don't miss it. And I used to be that person. I remember vividly, constantly checking my email, being just freaked out that I would let an email go an hour or a day without seeing it. And it's so nice to know that I don't have to worry about that anymore. So this is a big one. Responding to emails. So, if you've been working with your virtual assistant for a while, you might be able to really let the reins go. If it's a newer relationship with your virtual assistant, maybe you have some templated responses based on certain emails that come in. And so then they kind of know, okay, I'm seeing this email. This is what Christian wanted me to say. So it kind of depends, again, on your situation, on how those emails get managed. There's a lot of ways to do that, and I'm not here to necessarily tell you how to do that, but a virtual assistant can help you significantly and also keep you from missing any important emails. Calendar management, I already kind of talked about that. And email marketing, again, a big one that we do here. So if you're on our email list and you're seeing our email blasts go out, I am editing and I am helping create the content. But as far as actually implementing the email marketing, I'm not actually touching that email when it comes to the creation or the sending of that email. I'm helping strategize on the content, and I'm doing a final check on the content before it goes out the door. But I'm not the one actually typing it, making sure it goes out to everybody. That's something that I have the virtual assistant help manage. CRM management. Now, 90% of you don't utilize a CRM, or you pretend to utilize a CRM. Also want to plug 7-Figure CRM while we're on the call here, guys. If you were at the summit, you saw our announcement. We now have our own Go High Level platform at 7figurecrm.com. CRMs are, in my opinion, one of the big differences between an agent who's successful and an agent who's not successful. Lead tracking, managing your existing book of business, figuring out follow-ups for leads that you've been working. The money's in the follow-up, the fortune's in the follow-up. That's the saying. It might be cliche, but it's 100% true, because statistically, if you look at it as a consumer, your chances of having a transaction go through on that first interaction, it's very low. But if you have 5 or 10 interactions with someone, now you have a significantly higher chance of transacting business with someone. So now, again, as an agent myself personally, I will tell you, I was horrible at this. I did a horrible job as an agent, managing my leads, managing my clients. I was doing most of it. Yeah, I started off shaming you guys, and now I'm going to shame myself here. But most of it was really paper at the time. Even though there was technology solutions, I was just ignorant or refused to really put in the time or effort. This is where a virtual assistant can really, really, really help, because if you're truly focused on sales, having someone manage your CRM for you, it's like cleaning your house. You want a clean house. You don't want to do the cleaning yourself. Let the virtual assistant handle this busy work for you, making sure that after an appointment or after a phone call, they can update the records of that client. Again, internally at the agency, we will have one of our virtual assistants update our CRM after every application. Go in and add that information, making sure that it's all correct, up to date, policy effective dates, what carrier it's with, the policy number, updating contact information. I mean, it's monotonous. And as an agent, you guys are getting paid way more than someone who's doing data entry. There's no reason for you guys to handle data entry. Again, this is something that I think makes a huge difference. If you're not utilizing a CRM, there's tons of great options out there, whether you're using 7-figure CRM or you're using something different. At Hire Heroes, we have become agnostic as far as how many different CRM systems we're working with. So, you don't have to have our CRM to use a virtual assistant. We are familiar with all the CRMs out there. And again, at Lead Heroes, we've integrated into probably 100 different CRMs over the years. It's more about utilizing it and less about which CRM you have. And if you don't want to utilize it, hire someone to utilize it for you. That's kind of the key point for CRM management. Social media management. So I saw a question in the chat already. Someone asked, do you let a virtual assistant post for you on social media? This goes back to what I was talking about with email marketing. So I'm still the person behind the content. I'm still the person signing off on it before it goes out the door. And social media content, whether it's a video, a clip, or a post, anything social media related, it really works the same way. I want to be the person that's helping create the content. I'm going to do an edit on the content. I don't want someone to just go wild with it. But this is saving me an incredible amount of time and energy, especially if you are diverse with your social media platforms. How many social media platforms are there these days? Probably a dozen different social media platforms that you could be on. Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, YouTube. It just goes on and on and on and on. So having a virtual assistant who can deploy your social media content on all of these different platforms. I'm also, I've had mixed results with social media schedulers. So at one point, Facebook specifically was essentially deprioritizing anything that was being posted by a schedule application. So that's when I really moved into this virtual assistant position, where I was like, you know what, I'm going to have a virtual assistant that will post all the content on all these different platforms, so I can be involved on all these different platforms and be in front of the audience everywhere. And then at the same time, I don't have to be monitoring it either, right? Because who has the time to check 6, 7, 8, 9 different social media platforms to see, did anybody comment on this? Did I get any direct messages about this? Let the virtual assistant handle that for you. Video editing, as long as it's nothing, cinematic related, like if we aren't going for something, big project wise, virtual assistants can do a great job with that. There's so many softwares, and we'll get into some of that in a minute. And photo image editing as well. Canva is a great solution. There's a lot of great softwares that a virtual assistant can help you guys with. A big one, everyone needs this, right? Everyone needs to be on social media at this point. It's 2024. Everybody's on social media, whether you're a senior or you're an insurance agent. You want a virtual assistant to help you with this so you don't have to waste all of your time on all these different social media platforms. Document management. Again, critical to your success as an agent. There's so many rules in place that require us to keep documents on file, scope of appointments, applications, maintaining lead information, all of it, right? And this kind of goes back to the CRM management. Commission tracking at the agency, big one for us. We have thousands and thousands of dollars in commissions that comes in, and we have to figure out where that's going to go. And that is a very time-intensive task. So all this money comes in, and then we got to figure out where we got to send it. And we have some incredible virtual assistants on our teams that makes that a very simple process where we are really just double checking their numbers, and we are not having to spend hours and hours every month doing this. This is one of those tasks that is easy to say, well, I'm the agency owner. I need to do this. This is really important. But the reality is that you can have someone help you with it, and you can just sign off on it, and you can save yourself so much time and energy. Contract management. Again, Christian was just talking about how we have a virtual assistant who's helping us in the contract department. A very time-intensive task. Getting agents contracted. If you have a downline, if you're recruiting agents, getting an agency of 20 agents into your downline and making sure that all these different carriers for 20 different agents, everything gets signed, that you get releases for all of it. If anything comes back from the carrier's wanting more information about a specific agent. There's so much back and forth communication, something that a virtual assistant can really excel at to help you guys free up your time. And report generation. This is a huge one for us. We work with a number of different reports, whether it's from the call center, whether this is internally with paid marketing, like ads we're running. I get hourly reports on certain things that are super important to me that I want to keep an eye on, that are just being sent to me. So, obviously if it can be automated, that's great. If you can have like an automated reporting system, fantastic. There's a lot of things that you can't get an automated reporting system for yet. So this is where having a virtual assistant keep an eye on it for you can be critical. Especially if you're running paid ads. If you're insanely busy during the week and you're also trying to run paid ads at the same time, you might miss something where maybe an ad's performing really well, or maybe an ad's not performing well. And having a virtual assistant keep an eye on that reporting for you is huge. All right, so those are some of the key tasks. Now, I'm not saying that those are the only tasks, right? But that's not the only task that a virtual assistant can do. We came together as a team, as a company, and we were trying to brainstorm, like, what are the biggest ones? What's the main ones? We don't have unlimited time today, but we wanted to really help you guys understand what are some of the main tasks. Here are some of the software tools that are available to help you work with a virtual assistant. Now, some of these we've either previously used as a company, we're currently using, or we have clients at Hire Heroes and they're using some of these softwares. You don't have to use these softwares. These are just some examples and recommendations that we wanted to give you guys. Again, just provide some value if you're on here, whether you work with Hire Heroes or not. Asana is a big one. That's a project management, task management platform. You can prioritize certain tasks. You can have people comment on where certain tasks are at. I've found this one to be really helpful personally. Trello, similar to Asana, kind of a simplified version. ClickUp is kind of a more complex version of this kind of project management, where you can do all sorts of different things with ClickUp if any of you have ever used that before. Communication tools. There are a ton of different communication tools out there. I have used probably all of them. Zoom, we're on Zoom right now. Obviously a great one that you can utilize with a virtual assistant. Christian's going to talk in a minute about some of the different ways that he utilizes Zoom with virtual assistants. Slack is a great one. Microsoft Teams. There's some other simpler chat programs out there like Skype or Voxer, or Christian used to use some program that was, I think, from like 1995 before pre-merger, that I was like, step one, I'm like, we are no longer using this Trillium? What was it? Trillium. I'm like, wow, the 90s are still alive at CVIS. But again, if anything, it's less about which chat software you use. It's more about just utilizing it and being able to stay in contact with your virtual assistant or your virtual team. Marketing tools, again, tons of different options out there. I love Canva. I think Canva is both simple to use, but at the same time can provide like complex results. So I love Canva. There's a lot of like pre-built templates in there. Great for a virtual assistant. Hootsuite. So again, this is a social media scheduler. I don't know at this point if Facebook has changed their rules. Previously, I know that they were kind of deprioritizing anything that got posted by a social media scheduler. So I don't know, maybe that's changed, but if you don't have the capacity to be on all platforms at the same time, or to have a virtual assistant, maybe you're trying to do a lot of it yourself right now, that's an option. MailChimp is just one of a ton of different email marketing platforms out there. Go High Level, again, a great option. Seven-figure CRM, which is our Go High Level. You can do email marketing from there, automations, tons of great options out there. And document storage and sharing. This is a big one. We love Google services here at Hire Heroes and at ESI. Dropbox is another good one. Google is also HIPAA compliant. So we're able to stay HIPAA compliant by using Google services. It's also great for collaboration, spreadsheet collaboration. This slideshow that you're watching right now, we were collaborating together as a team through Google services. So I love that. This is something at Hire Heroes that out the box, all of our virtual assistants are very astute utilizing Google services, which is great for collaboration and storage of any files that you guys have. All right, so that being said, so that was some of the main tasks and some of the different software tools that we've either previously used or currently used. I'm going to hand the microphone back over to Christian. He's going to talk a little bit about training virtual assistants.
Yes. So thank you for that, Glenn. That was awesome. And just so you guys know, we see your questions in the comments. Just wanted to reiterate for anybody that's come in later. After we said this, we're going to be doing a Q&A at the end where we go through these questions, and we'll do our absolute best to get to all of them. I'm optimistic that we can do it. So keep them coming. Keep the questions coming in the chat. So I did see a couple questions in the chat specifically related to training. Okay, so this section of the training and the presentation today is going to be all about this. How do you train a virtual assistant? So as Glenn said earlier, and as I think I might have said at the beginning, the effectiveness of your virtual assistant oftentimes is going to come down to how well you explain to them what you want them to do. Okay. So communication is going to be everything. And if you've ever hired anybody before, for any of you that have ever hired anybody stateside, you probably can also attest to this, that this is the case when you hire anyone, period. Whether they're in your office, whether they're in person with you, or whether they're virtual, right? If you are not giving them the proper tools to be able to do their job effectively, they're not going to be able to. And a virtual assistant is no different. Glenn used the term yesterday, and I kind of want to steal it from him. I don't know if he was going to work it in later in the presentation, so I don't mean to steal the thunder, but I'm going.
How dare you?
I'm going to.
I don't even know. I don't even know what you're going to say.
Glenn made the comment yesterday when we were on a call talking about, preparation for this for you guys, that oftentimes people want a virtual assistant to kind of be out of the box, to be ready out of the box. And it doesn't necessarily work like that. It is going to take time in order to train that person and have that person get a good grasp of what you want them to do. No different than anybody that you're going to hire into your business. If you find a source where you can hire people where they're out of the box and they're ready to go, and you basically say nothing to them, and you make eye contact, you telepathically, like you give them a look and they know, and they go and do the task, let me know about it, because we'll use it like crazy because it doesn't exist. So let's talk about training, right? How is it best to train a virtual assistant? Do I have another slide after this? I think I do, right? Yes, thank you. Okay. How is it best to train a virtual assistant? So first off, CBIS, right, and ESI encompasses the combined entity of over 250 virtual assistants at this point. Okay, so we know what we're talking about with this. Not only do we know what we're talking about, we have been able to create systems and processes. No, we have been able to create systems.
Sorry.
We've been able to create systems and processes to not only allow us to have virtual assistants be trained, but allow us to be able to mass hire and scale this process to where it isn't something that we personally have to do every time. And this is how we're doing it, okay? So video trainings. I believe that a great way, and how we're training virtual assistants right now within CBIS, especially for roles that we haven't ever had a virtual assistant in before, like contracting is a relatively newer role that we're having virtual assistants assist in and help out in. But video training is a great one. I personally am a big Zoom fan. So you get into Zoom, maybe you create a PowerPoint for them, a presentation, or maybe you just share your screen and show them and walk through with them kind of some different things you're going to need them to be doing. And then what you do is you record this training, similar to what we're doing today. And what we've been doing essentially is being able to build out curriculums, not just for that person to go back through and rewatch, because sometimes going through and watching it a second or a third time is necessary for them to reference back to if they don't remember something, or maybe they need a refresher on something, but also to be able to help train a future person if, let's say, your needs grow and you need a second person for that. Okay, so video trainings is a big one to where you can almost build out a curriculum and almost like a step-by-step process. There's a training session on each little thing that you need done that they can go through and actually watch. So video trainings is big. Baby steps. I see people all the time that they'll hire a virtual assistant, and this probably happens for all different types of employees that people hire in their business. I just probably see it more because I'm now in the virtual assistant business, so I probably hear more about it. But they expect, again, the person to come ready out of the box, and they expect them to be able to train for one day maybe, and then it's like, all right, have fun, have a great time, Sally. I'll check on you at the end of the week, and then like the VA is like, what do I do? I would be that way. If you brought me into your company and you're like, all right, Christian, we want you to consult for us. And I'm like, all right, great. I'm going to need some information about your company. They'd be like, well, you're not allowed to have that. You're just going to tell us what we need to do. I'll be like, well, I don't know anything about you. How many clients do you have? How much revenue did you do? What are you spending money on? Nope, you're not getting any of that. Just do the job. That's basically what you're telling the VA to do by not properly training them. And so baby steps, I believe, are very, very important. Not just spending plenty of time training them. So to give you guys a little bit of an idea, we trained this contracting virtual assistant for about 2 weeks. So we did daily trainings with her for about 2 weeks, recorded the processes, had her go through previous training videos when we weren't doing trainings. And now we're starting to do very simple, easy contracting tasks for her. And just kind of easing her into it. And that's also how we do it internally in the company as well. Anytime we've ever brought anybody into the office, let's say in person even, when we've had them starting on too complicated of tasks too early, it usually went bad. It usually went bad for that person. So I found this to be a reliable philosophy in employment in general. So baby steps, working into something, right? Maybe you could even have, if let's say you're trying to get somebody to do customer service for you or whatever it might be, maybe it's even having them call a carrier and ask a question as a test. You know what I mean? Like in some practice runs. Those kind of items are very, very important for allowing them to get some easy things, some bite-sized experience. And the longer they go and the more they learn, you can start feeding them more and more and more complicated tasks because they're going to be more capable of handling it. Okay, so virtual shadowing is a great one. So if you, let's say you're a one-man person, or maybe you have somebody in your, let's say it's you and an assistant, right? If there's any task that you or the assistant is doing on a regular basis, which chances are there is, right? And you're bringing in a virtual assistant, while those tasks are being handled, a great thing to do is having them be able to shadow you or maybe your assistant while they do it. So an example, right, for us training our VA in customer service, one thing that our team has been doing is when they're making calls out to a carrier, when they're working on a claim, they're having that person on the phone with them. They're having the VA on the phone with them, muted, so they can just observe and be a fly on the wall and listen to kind of how it goes. Okay. And then when we're actually having the VA work on something and we're introducing our baby steps, one of our team members is on the phone with them as well, just to make sure that they do it correctly, right? When we're kind of easing them into things. So the shadowing is a huge, huge part of this. Reporting. What do I mean by reporting? It's become kind of a thing in our agency that we require everybody in the company to document their day. Document their day and submit it to either myself, to Glenn, sometimes both of us, or somebody else, but that way we can get an idea of what they did over the course of that day. And I say it all the time, right? Like we have a massive organization at this point. We have probably a total of, I don't know how many employees total the company encompasses. It's a lot. And I cannot keep track of everything on a day-to-day basis. I just can't. It's impossible. We have leadership in the company for that reason as well. Glenn is here in the company to help with that as well, right? I mean, me and Glenn share a lot of these responsibilities, but for both of us, even if both of us were trying to split responsibilities, we couldn't keep track of everything. So a great way for us to keep up with what the person is working on is reporting. So it can take a lot of different forms. It could be an email, it could be in a Word document, but essentially documenting what they did over the course of that day and then sending it over at the end of day. So that way we can review it, just kind of make sure that we're in the loop of kind of what's going on for that particular individual. Okay, so reporting is a massive, massive one. So doing these things in terms of training and having a realistic expectation coming in of kind of, this is going to take a little time to train somebody, but as is life, guys, as is life, yes. Regardless if you have somebody that's overseas or somebody that's here, it's going to be that type of process. So you just need to understand that, but understand if you put the work in and kind of teaching this person, they're going to do such a better job for you because they're going to understand more, right?
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, that's really the process of how we train virtual assistants in the agency, and it's been effective, very effective.
Yeah, that virtual shadowing one's a big one, you guys. The same way that you would sit down at a desk with a new employee and you would go through it with them. Christian's done a really great job, and other members of our team here stateside too, working with overseas virtual assistants, utilizing that virtual shadowing. That's a big one. I think that can really help. And then, of course, you can record those virtual shadowing sessions, and then they can watch them back later.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I see the questions. If you see me looking over here to the side, it's not because I'm bored of Christian talking. I have another screen over here. I'm looking at the questions coming in. Keep them coming, and we're going to do our best to try to get to all of these. The worst case scenario, if we run out of time, we'll try to privately answer all these questions with you guys. So yeah, keep the questions coming. I appreciate it. How do I hire a virtual assistant? So there are tons of different online platforms out there. Personally, I started with a platform called Odesk, which I think got bought since I started using them a long time ago. And O, I think, stood for like outsource. So it was like, outsourcing someone at your desk essentially was the concept behind it. But there's all sorts of different, job listing platforms out there, Craigslist, you name it. There's all sorts of ways that you can find a virtual assistant. Obviously, at Hire Heroes, we are trying to cut down this time window for you. So if you go out and you are putting job postings on different websites for a virtual assistant, and then you are interviewing all of the applicants that responded to your job posts, and then you decide to hire someone, and then you start training, that could be almost a month-long process just right there. To go from, I think I need a virtual assistant, I'm going to post a job ad, all the way to, I just hired this person and I'm now doing some basic training with them. I estimate a 2 to 4 week process. So at Hire Heroes, what we've tried to cut down that 2 to 4 weeks, we've tried to cut that down to really like 2 to 4 days. So instead of a month, you're up and running in a week. Again, kind of walking you through our process at Hire Heroes. So once you sign up, and we'll have the link available here in the next slide or two, so you don't need to worry about that. But once you sign up, there is it takes like 2 minutes. It's like a 2-minute questionnaire. We want to know how many virtual assistants you're looking to hire, the key tasks that you want them to do. Again, we went through a bunch of these key tasks on this webinar already. Some of you might be like, I just want someone for phone support. Someone else might be like, I really want someone for social media. Maybe you want someone that can do a little bit of everything. That's totally fine. That 2-minute questionnaire on the website, when you go to sign up, it gives us the information that we're looking for. So that way we can try to find the best fit virtual assistant based on the tasks that you want them to do. So once you fill that out, we will contact you and schedule a meeting to do a meet and greet with a prospective virtual assistant. So again, I want to make sure you're happy with the person that we picked before you even pay us $1. So, we're going to go through that task list with you, make sure that we understand what you're looking for. We're going to go to our pool of qualified and trained virtual assistants that we already have. We're playing matchmaker essentially, and then we're going to do this meet and greet on Zoom, just like we're doing right now. And you'll be able to meet your virtual assistant, talk to him for about 15 minutes. And if everything looks good, move forward and onboard your virtual assistant at that point. So again, we've tried to really simplify this. This is, I've been working with virtual assistants for a decade. We've been specifically working through Hire Heroes, offering administrative tasks like this for 3 or 4 years now. And we've really, really tried to simplify this to the point where, again, oh no, I skipped ahead. Simplify this again, so that way you guys don't have to spend a bunch of extra time trying to find the right virtual assistant. We're going to try to do all of that for you. Now, one of the key things that separates us from a lot of these other virtual assistant platforms, we have actually spent an incredible amount of money to develop our own software internally. Understanding how working with a virtual assistant works, there wasn't necessarily one platform or one tool that I found that I felt like was a perfect fit. So we actually hired our own software developers, and we created our own platform that will allow you to connect with your virtual assistant, assign tasks. And to better explain this, I'd like to introduce one of our virtual assistants at Hire Heroes, the admin at Hire Heroes, Nikki. If you've had a chance to work with her, you know how great she is. I'm going to hand this over to her and have her share an example of our online platform, our app, our application at hireheroes.com. So without further ado, Nikki, I'd love to have you walk through that example account. And yeah, Christian, if you could open up, I think you already have the sharing settings.
Yes. Hello, good morning, everyone. So again, my name is Nikki, one of virtual assistant of Glenn, and also an admin for Hire Heroes. And today I will be sharing with you our Hire Heroes software, the application that we use to manage our virtual assistants. Okay, so I will be sharing my screen now. Okay.
Here, I'll stop that share so you can share yours.
All right. So can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. All right, so before I show you the actual account of Christian, I'm going to share with you first how to register an account to the Hire Heroes app. Actually, it's very easy to use, user-friendly, very straightforward. So all you need to do is just to go to app.hireheroes.com. I'm going to drop the link later in the chat box. So for now, once you go to the link, this is what you're going to see. Okay, so all you need to do is just to click on register here. Okay, and then just fill out all the necessary information. For example, okay, let me put my name here, Nikki, and then Heroes, and then your email. Okay, and your phone number. Okay, let me put the number of Hire Heroes, 844-743-7637. Okay, and then click on next. Okay, so this is where you put how many virtual assistants you need. So for example, just one, and then the task that you need help with, for example, CRM management. And also here you can put what software or applications you want the virtual assistant to use. So for example, the CRM that you're using, you can put the specific CRM that you are using, or and Canva, for example, and then just click on next. And then kindly let us know how did you hear about Hire Heroes. So for example, social media, and then click I'm not a robot, and then click on sign up. Once you click on sign up, you will receive an email with your temporary password. So once you already have your temporary password, okay, okay. Okay, 1 second. You can now, okay, just 1 second. I cannot
Is it the
minimize
other
my
tab?
screen.
No, you're good.
Yes.
There we go. You're logged in. We can see it. You're on mute.
Okay, so once you already receive your temporary password, you can now log in. Just click on login. And then once you're already logged in, this is the first thing that you will see on your screen. So this is the dashboard. You will see here reports. So it will show how many minutes your virtual assistant actually worked that specific day. So it is shown in minutes. You can also select the date range here, for example, the 20th of June and then the 21st. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Oh no.
Yes. I'm so sorry.
No, you're good.
Do you need the email, Nikki?
Yes, I already have it here.
Okay. It's Christian B. Christian B.
Oh, yes, Christian B at XP
Mission.
Mission.
Yeah, xmission.com.
Oh.
But there's a B in Xmission. Here, you take that out.
There you go. The worst email address ever.
I know, it's gone. Don't email me on that, guys.
Yeah, don't. Yeah.
Not active. It's gone.
Okay, and then oh, there. Okay. Now, so again, this is the first thing that you will see is the dashboard. So you will see here the reports. it will show how many minutes your virtual assistant worked. So all you need to do is just to select the date range that you want to check there. And also here, you will see the task progress. You will see here if the task that your virtual assistant is doing is already completed or if it's still pending. Okay, now let's move on to projects. Okay, this is the first icon, projects. So here in projects, you can add the task or project that you want your virtual assistant to do. So for example, CRM management. Okay, then click on create. Okay, so once you already created a project, you will see here 3 dots. So you can manage your virtual assistant or assign the task to your virtual assistant. So like, for example, here with Christian, Christian has multiple virtual assistants. So all you need to do is to select whose virtual assistant that you want to do the task. For example, VA AJ. Just click on assign, and now this specific task is already assigned to virtual assistant AJ. And then another option is you can also edit project. So from CRM management, you can edit it, and for example, lead generation there. And then just you can put project description, and then if it's still in progress or if the task is already completed, and then click on update. Also, okay. Also, it has an option to delete the project there. Okay, next is the training videos. So here in the Hire Heroes app, you can also, if you have training videos for your virtual assistant, you can either record a training video or upload a training video. So these are the samples. So if you record or upload a training video, it will be shown here so that your virtual assistant can go back to the training videos if ever that your virtual assistant has questions regarding the task or the tools that she is using, so she can always go back to the training videos. Next is activity. This is one of the best feature of the Hire Heroes app. So here in activity, it records random screenshots of your virtual assistant's computer. So again, all you need to do is just to select the date range of the date range that you want to check your virtual assistant's screenshot. So just select the date range, and then if you have multiple virtual assistant, all you need to do is just to select the name of your virtual assistant, for example, VA Chat, and it will show here all of the screenshots of virtual assistant chat. Select the date range, for example, the 25th until the 26th. There. And then just click on view. There you go. It will show all of the screenshots of VA Jet on that specific date. Okay, and next is, okay, there. So, hello, can you still hear me?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
You're all good.
You're doing, Nikki,
good.
you're doing great. You're doing
Yes,
great.
I'm
This
sorry.
is perfect. No, this is perfect.
Yes, because it's so quiet. I thought I got disconnected. All right.
No.
Now, after activity, let's move on to another feature of the app, which is the inbox. So here in inbox, this is where you can communicate with your virtual assistant. So just click on inbox and then select, if you have multiple virtual assistant, just select the name of the virtual assistant that you want to talk to. For example, I have here, for example, Nathan. Let's click on Nathan, and then if you click the name, yes, if you click if you click the name of Nathan, a text box will appear at the bottom, so you can type a message here. For example, test there, and then click on send. There. Basically, if you're using like a Facebook Messenger, it's actually kind of the same. And also here in the inbox, you can also record voice clip for your virtual assistant. For example, you are driving and you
Yes.
need to inform your virtual assistant important reminders, for example, important messages. So all you need to do is just to click on record, and then okay, just click and hold, and then once you release it, okay, once you release the button, and then you click on enter. There, the voice message will be sent to your virtual assistant. So this is also for your convenience if you don't have time to type in the message. Okay, and here is, okay, here are the sample. Okay, so this are the conversation of virtual assistant AJ and Christian. So here. Also here in inbox, you can send attachments. So if you need to, if you have files that you need your virtual assistant, for example, update, you need, if you have like photos that need to be edited by your virtual assistant, you can also send attachments here. You will see here the paper clip icon, just click that, and then there, select the file that you want to send to your virtual assistant. Next is the wallet. Okay, next here in wallet, this is where you're going to purchase hours for your virtual assistant. So you will see here the balance. So it will show how many hours left in your account. So here in Christian's account, he still has 75 hours and 53 minutes left in his account. So now, if you're going to purchase hours, all you need to do is just to click on buy hours there. And then if you click that, it will go to this page. So all you need to do is just to select how many hours you'd like to purchase. So the minimum hours that you can purchase is 80 hours, and that will cost you $11 an hour. And the price goes down the more hours that you purchase. Okay, so for example, you'd like to purchase 480 hours, that will only cost you $9 an hour. And on the left, on the right side of the screen, it will show the total amount that you're going to pay. Okay, and also it has an option to do auto top up here. So just click on this box, auto top up, and then you can put here a trigger, like for example, 10 hours. So if your wallet hours reaches below 10 hours, it will automatically charge your card, or it will automatically repurchase hours. Okay, and then settings. Here in settings, you will see your account information. So for some reason, it's not showing in Christian's account. All right, so, but if you click here on account, you will see here your name, your email, and if you click on security, you will see here your password. And also, there's a shortcut for inbox here on the screen. Once you log in, it's on the upper right-hand corner of the screen. There's a shortcut as well of inbox. So just click this icon, the message icon, and then same thing. All you need to do is just to select the VA that you want to message. And also, before I forget, there's also a feature that you can create a group chat. This is if you have multiple virtual assistants. So you can create a group, for example, Christian's Angels there. So click on create. All right. After clicking on create, okay. Oh, my PC is kind of slow today. All right. So anyways, after clicking on create, next thing that you do is to select the virtual assistants that you'd like to add in the group chat. So basically, that is the Hire Heroes app. Like what I mentioned, it's very straightforward, very easy to use. And just in case you have further questions regarding the Hire Heroes app, you can always shoot me an email at info@hireheroes.com, and I'll be more than happy to assist you. So that would be all. Thank you so much.
Let's give it up for Nikki.
Oh, Nikki. That was great.
Nikki, that was seriously awesome.
That was terrific.
I'm going to share my screen again. Yeah, I think historically we have not spent as much time on the actual like day-to-day operations of what it actually looks like when you're in our software interacting with the virtual assistant. Nikki did such a great job, I feel like, going through that. We actually have a big update coming up in like the next week where we're really, it's like 3.0. The current software is like our 2.0 version. We're about to do a huge update on it, so it will look slightly different, unfortunately, for some of you if you get in there like next week or next month. But I think I think you're going to love it. I think it looks really great. And we have put so much time and energy, like an incredible amount of time and energy into the software to allow you guys to, again, interact with them, train them, monitor tasks. You can see screenshots of them working. Everything that Nikki just went through, I think, is just a huge asset when you work with Hire Heroes.
Yeah.
So
100%.
We'll keep this rolling here. I know we were trying to keep this to an hour. You guys will probably go closer to 90 minutes. So I apologize if some of you have other stuff going on. I do want to answer some questions at the end of this. So we got to the end. We're at the exclusive webinar bonus. So let's see what we're going to finally get to the end of the webinar. Our Tarantino film is now, we're back where we started. We are going to offer you guys for the next 36 hours a 25% bonus. It's a one-time bonus if you're a new client where you can get 25% additional hours when you sign up. So again, as an example here, you'll see on the screen at 80 hours, you get 100. If you pay for the minimum of 80 hours, you'll actually receive 100 hours for your virtual assistant. This link, so if you scan that QR code, it will take you to the landing page where you can submit your information for that. And then we'll kind of go through that same process that you saw in that earlier screen, where we're going to figure out, what tasks you're looking to have done, how many virtual assistants you're looking to hire, and then play matchmaker, right? We're going to go to our huge pool of virtual assistants and figure out who we think would be the best fit. You will sign off on that person before they work a single hour, and then we'll get them set up and you can be off to the races. So that being said, I would love to jump in to the chat and let's see if we can't get into these questions. So again, I appreciate you guys. Yes, I appreciate all of you that have been on the webinar with us for over an hour now. And I appreciate all these questions we got. I'm gonna scroll back up to the top here. Oh my gosh, there's so many. Does Hire Heroes, so this one's from Kevin, does Hire Heroes provide client service training SOPs so the VA comes in ready for those tasks, or is that still the job of the agent to train? So, SOPs, so like customer service, there is going to be a baseline knowledge, right? So most of these virtual assistants will have a baseline knowledge from the call center. At Lead Heroes, we train everyone on some of the basics of Medicare. When they're calling seniors, they're talking to them about, hey, what plan do you have? How much are you paying per month? So there is going to be some baseline knowledge there. As far as how you specifically want your clients interacted with, that is something that you'll have to participate in for sure. So, everyone's a little different on how they want to set that up. And there was another question I saw in here too that kind of goes with this, where I think it was actually talking about AEP. It was like, how much time do we need to train someone for AEP? I honestly would say 8 weeks. I think if you want a virtual assistant to just absolutely crush it for you during AEP, I think you should have them hired on by August 1st. That's my personal opinion. The agents that we've worked with over the years where they're trying to hire someone, right at the end of right before AEP, end of September as an example, I feel like that's too late. Unless it's something super basic where you're like, hey, I just want you to monitor this email account. Like, unless it's something crazy basic, you want someone to be able to really help and handle maybe a variety of tasks, and you want to train them and you want to be able to be more hands-off. I think it takes close to 8 weeks to really hit that type of experience. Again, it's a huge variable. Everyone's different. You might have something more basic that you want a virtual assistant to handle for you, where in 1 to 2 weeks you can be more hands off. It just depends on really what you're trying to have them do. But personally, my recommendation would be August 1st to have your virtual assistant ready to rock to help you with AEP. Let's see. We do have Spanish speaking virtual assistants available. So if you need one, please reach out. Yes, we allow them to post on social media. Again, I personally, or Christian, we have a process in place where we are doing kind of the final edits, or we're approving it before it actually goes out. But we do allow the virtual assistants to post on social media on our behalf. Has there been pushback from the carriers with having a VA who's not in the US? There's been a lot of talk about it. I've heard from people super high up in the industry that it gets discussed, and they've talked about, ways that they could maybe try to regulate it or put rules in place. But what I can tell you is right now, there's nothing that specifically says, you cannot work with a virtual assistant. There's no rules like that have come down the pipe. In the future, could things change? Maybe. But as of right now, there's nothing that prevents you from working with a virtual assistant. How do you either find a VA with a very little accent or get seniors to not be racist against a VA with an accent?
Can I mention? Can I start on this one?
Please, please do.
I'm going to want you to fill in the blanks, but
please do.
So here's my thoughts on this, right? Because that was something that I was like, if you asked me this a year ago, I probably would have told you that I would never have a VA talk to one of my clients. Probably what I would have said, like personally, and I would have just been like, don't tell Glenn. I have changed my view on that totally. And it's something that, of course, obviously I have, right? We have, VAs helping with our client service work now. And I think it has everything to do with the VA. And what I mean by that is some VAs have super heavy accents where the communication is just a little rough, and maybe their skill set is not best suited for being on the phone with people, right? Others have incredible ability to communicate. So AJ, our VA, I would say is one of those individuals. Her communication skills are fantastic. She's so she's such a good communicator. And even my staff internally that's on the customer service side of things, they're like, we don't worry about her communication skills at all. We don't worry about it at all. And that's so far away from where we would have been a year ago. So I think just like when you're hiring for anything, you hire certain people that are going to be a good fit for certain roles, right? So it's no different than if you hired somebody in your office. If, you wanted to hire somebody, let's say, to do social media work, and they're 85 years old and they don't have a computer, they're probably not the person for the role, right? So there's certain VAs that we'd want to kind of isolate in on that have that communication skills. So not everybody's going to be a fit for everything, just like as is life, just like anybody.
Yes, that's a really great point. And again, that's why we try to cut off as much of this up front before you even get started with your virtual assistant. If we didn't, and I know there's other virtual assistant platforms out there where maybe that's the approach they take, right? Where it's like, I want a virtual assistant, and they don't care what it's for. They're just like, here you go. And we're trying to cut all of that out. So you're working with someone who has a skill set that matches your needs. So yeah, I think that's a great point. I will also say too, that we have an incredible network in the Philippines at this point. I mentioned I've been working with Filipinos for about a decade now. I've personally been over there multiple times. I'm trying to get Christian over there. We'll see if we can get over there here sometime soon. Maybe if you guys get enough virtual assistants, we can actually go back over there. I don't know. But we have this massive, massive network of virtual assistants in the Philippines, and we probably only accept, I'd say, maybe 20% or even less of applicants that come through. So we're pretty picky at this point. And we also don't have to hunt. Most of these people are coming to us because they want to work with our company, because our company's known. So that makes a big difference too, is we can be picky with the talent that we accept at Hire Heroes, at Lead Heroes. Awesome. Let's keep rolling. Feel free, if you see any questions you want to jump on or you want me to answer too, there's so much in here. I'm trying to stay focused.
I've seen the question a few times. Maybe I'll just quickly answer it.
Yeah.
It's being recorded. Yes. Where will it be available? We don't know yet. So stay tuned on that.
Here's one. So what should you expect to pay a VA? So Nikki did a great job. She kind of went through in our application, in our software. You have like this virtual wallet where once you buy time, it loads and you have like a clock. You'll see how much time you paid for. It's anywhere from $11. It starts at $11 per hour. And then based on the number of hours you pay for, it can go down to $9. So 480 hours or more gets you down to that $9 per hour price point. You don't have to pay the VA. That's something that we handle. So just like a true staffing company, we're providing this person, we are going to be compensating this person. All you have to worry about is making sure that they understand what you want them to do. And, we're going to do all the rest, right? We're also going to help if anything comes up, like we're here too. Like that's an important piece of this. I want to make sure everyone knows is we're not going to be just completely hands off. Like if something comes up, if there's an issue, or if you have a question, or if you need another virtual assistant, whatever it is, Nikki or myself or anyone else on the team is happy to jump in and help you guys out. Let's see.
A lot of these questions already were answered.
Yeah, there's a lot of repetitive ones. Oh, here's another one from Ricky. Are they able to call leads that I purchased from Lead Heroes or other vendors rather than paying for Lead Heroes presets? Absolutely. We do this all the time. So, whether it's direct mail leads or internet leads or calling your book of business or calling lapsed policies, like whatever it is, we can absolutely call those leads without it being Lead Heroes leads, and we can set appointments, we can qualify them, etc. So yeah, that is one of I'd say the bigger tasks that we actually handle on behalf of agents. Yes, we can work with ACA agents, absolutely. And we do have Spanish speaking VAs available as well.
I think I caught up with you. I'm like trying to find where I think I got there.
Here's another one that I've seen come up a couple of times is there a minimum number of hours I need to give the VA? This is a great question. So I try to keep the minimum at 10 hours per week. Again, I don't want to have someone dedicated to you that's only working like 1 hour or 2 hours a week. Obviously the goal would be to have someone working 40 hours a week for you. But if you're at the point where you're not quite there yet and you don't feel like you need them to work 40 hours per week, the minimum we try to focus on is around 10 hours per week. So 40 hours per month, roughly. If you don't feel like you even have 10 hours per week, maybe you're not quite ready for a virtual assistant. Yeah, the time, yeah. So it is about a 12 to 15 hour time difference, depending on what time zone you're in here in the States. The Filipinos, again, it's one of the biggest call centers in the world. If you look at the number of people who work in call centers and where they're located, I mean, corporate America utilizes the Philippines, right? If I call Chase, one of the banks I work with, there's a very high probability that I'm going to be talking to a Filipino. So they are very used to working these graveyard hours, which is roughly midnight to 8 a.m. their time. But that's not something you need to worry about. Again, we're qualifying this person to make sure that they understand that they're going to work on your time zone, your hours, and we can customize. Let's say you are only needing someone 10 or 20 hours a week. We can make sure that they fit into your schedule. So if you have specific 10 to 20 hours a week that you want them to work, we can make sure that fits.
I've seen the question probably 3 times now. Can I hire Nikki? No.
Stop. That's RVA. No. Nikki's awesome though. I really appreciate her time and sharing what she did today. Another question here, should a VA get email address within my company? That's again kind of a personal question as far as what you're wanting to utilize that virtual assistant for. If you are looking for like a true admin VA that can come in and handle a variety of admin tasks for your agency or for your business, you are probably going to want them to have a company email. That could be a generic company email like admin@youragency.com, or it could be, more specific. You could use your VA's name, Nikki@youragency.com. That's really a personal preference. It's up to you. There is no startup fee. It is essentially you're paying for a pool of hours. So there's no long-term contracts. There's no long-term commitments. You pay for this bucket of hours or this pool of hours. So again, the minimum is 80 hours. And then when you get to the end of that, it's totally up to you on how you want to renew, right? You can renew it at more hours. You can choose not to renew. Totally up to you.
Dana had a good question. I'm kind of around, but she said, if we purchase using the discount code now, how soon would we have to start utilizing those hours?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if you're in a situation where like you need to wait a month, but you want to jump on this promotion now, since it is time sensitive, we can definitely work with you on that. Totally up to you, obviously, when you actually start your VA, but we could at least start maybe the process of looking for the VA and make sure that we understand the tasks that you're wanting to have done. But yeah, as far as like your official start date, we can absolutely bump that out if you've got some summer plans going on right now. Yeah, and 1099. So yeah, this isn't a 1099 or a W-2. This isn't technically an employee. You're paying the Hire Heroes, the staffing company, so you don't need to worry about any. That's another benefit of working with us or working with a staffing company like Hire Heroes. You don't have to deal with any of that legal employee tax BS. None of that. Yes, we can have the virtual assistant answer. Again, I mentioned this during the webinar. That's one of the big or bigger tasks that our team handles is phone work. And they can also do drug lookups as well. Absolutely. Yeah, so and this comes up all the time. So I'm glad this question came up. Thank you, Lily, for asking this. So a privacy issue, right? So, we've got HIPAA compliance. We have personal information from your clients, right? Especially if they're helping manage the CRM. So we have an agreement internally with our virtual assistants, everyone that comes on board. And that's part of the HIPAA compliance as well, that they have to understand that and sign off that they understand that. Above and beyond that, obviously, we also went through the software too, right? So you can actually see what the virtual assistant's working on when they're clocked in. So, it keeps all three of us honest, right? It keeps you're able to see what they're doing. I can see what they're doing. And our team can see what they're doing. So if there's anything that comes up, we can jump on it. The other piece of this too is I like to mention is if something were to happen, God forbid, there was a data leak. We actually have $1 million cyber insurance policy that covers all of this private information because we understand how valuable and how sensitive it is. So we want to make sure that anything that our team at Hire Heroes or any of our virtual assistants would be working with, that is kept private and that we are following the rules, including all HIPAA compliance as well. You do keep the same VA. So we want this VA to be dedicated. Obviously, if it's a situation where that VA is sick or they become unavailable for whatever reason, which doesn't happen often, but if it does, we will absolutely have someone that can step in and replace them. But we want to dedicate that VA to you because, again, if you're training them on specific processes, it's difficult if we're like hot swapping VAs, every day, every week. You know what? So Joanne asked if English is a secondary language in the Philippines. For some folks in the Philippines, English is actually the primary language. I believe there was a British colony back in like the 1800s around Manila. So because of that introduction to English early on, you'd be surprised. And again, as someone who's been over there, I was shocked at how easy it was to get around. People understood English very well over there. And that's why they're so great on the phone, because English is really a core part of their culture. So are they trained in drug lookup? So they can be, again, depending on the specific task that you want them to do. We have several VAs that do drug lookups and drug comparisons on behalf of agents. So absolutely.
We have one in CBIS that can do it right now.
Yeah.
So yes, absolutely. They just need to be taught.
Guys, I really appreciate we're at the 90 minute, we're already 30 minutes overdue. So I really, really, really appreciate everyone's time, the questions. This has been great. What I'm going to do is I will try to see if we can if there's any questions here that we missed or we didn't get to offline here. We'll see if either myself or Nikki or anyone else from the team can help get these questions answered if we didn't get to them. But I want to be respectful of everyone's time. We're already 30 minutes past. Again, this link, you guys, if you scan that QR code, it will take you to our promotion exclusively for this webinar, where you can get a 25% bonus on any hours you purchase. This is for first time purchases, or if you're purchasing an additional VA, I would still honor it as well. So if you already have a VA with us and you want to purchase another one to get ready for AEP, absolutely, you're welcome to do that. And we would still honor this bonus. I highly recommend hiring a VA before you think you need one. If you wait till September, you're probably too late for a variety of reasons. We can only onboard so many VAs at a time. Our process is, it's like 5 to 10 VAs a week. We don't want to break our process. Quality is super important to us at Hire Heroes. So it is a first come, first serve. So if we get 20, 30 people that sign up from this webinar and you're coming in on the back end, we're going to have to process everyone as we receive them. So don't wait. Please take advantage of this if you're even thinking about it. I think it will help your AEP be the best AEP you've ever had. So that being said, Christian, any final thoughts?
This was a lot of fun, guys. I enjoyed it. I'm glad that there was so much interest, because I think it's a topic that doesn't get talked about enough. And I think it's something that could be a transformative thing for a lot of agents that are having trouble getting over the hump. And I think it's a great service. I mean, I kind of adopted 250 VAs, this year. And
Stepdad.
I'm stepdad. And as stepdad, no, I'm just kidding. No, but I have absolutely loved working with all of our Lead Heroes and Hire Heroes team. And, they're so great. They're so phenomenal. And, if I could go back 3, 4, 5 years ago and, worked even more with Glenn on this when I was still a customer, I would have, because this was something we could have used earlier on, but hindsight's 2020. But yeah, that's my final thoughts, guys. This was a great training, and we hope you guys got great value out of it.
Thank you again, everybody who joined us. And until next time, as always, happy selling. And don't wait. Get your virtual assistant now before it's too late.
Thanks, guys.